All right, we are back. So last time we were trying to figure out a way to load up the base URL into this API, and we were just having a little bit of trouble. I did figure out how to grab it from a file, and that seemed to work on this system. So I went ahead and I actually created a lesson for you for that. So most likely you've already seen that, and sort of like maybe we're a little bit confused as to why I was didn't know what something I'd already taught a lesson about. So that was the timing for that. Until then, let's go ahead and continue with this. We want to now redo that one essentially. Put this into a file. So I want to create an API folder here. And inside of that, no, not there. I'm actually going to move the API.rs into API. We're going to rename you to mod. That should mean everything should remain the same and sort of work exactly the way we expect it to. And then in here, let's see, I want to create a new file, and this is going to be the base URL. So I'm going to call this API base URI. .rs. No, you're not an RS. Excuse me. Okay, so we have our text here. I'm gonna take this exactly as it is, put you in there. And okay, so we're gonna have our base URL. I think this is a str. Let's see if it comes as a str or a string. And we're gonna do an include str. It's gonna come as a str. And I want you to be an API base URI.txt. All right, okay, and that should do that. Everything is reloading here, and you should still work, so we should still be able to log in here. And there we go. Okay, everything is good. Which means I'm happy then rerun these tests and basically move on to the next feature. And it looks like our next feature is now going to be displaying the to-do items. So we have this out as default to-do items, but that's because when we create a new account, we just get 2 items by default. The main reason I wanted this is so we have something there already to display. And we don't have to like always create them when we're sort of playing around with it. So we're visiting, okay, so we create the account. Then on the home page, it's trying to get this data test task link. So some kind of link, and then it wants 2 of them. So let's trying to think about like whether or not let's go see what our other solution does. So that's gonna be localhost. Oh, I need to go find out what the port is. That is gonna be 49500. So here's the view.js one. If I log in, let's see. Well, this one I've already deleted one of them, but this is the general idea. We have our priority, we have our completed, we have our task. This is essentially a data table. Just a table that displays data, but If you haven't heard of like it specifically before, that's what a lot of the community ends up calling these types of things. So it makes sense to me. I kind of want to, let's see. So I'm going to want the completed checkbox for each of these. We could create a table here on the main page. That could be fine. I kind of want to create just a list of tasks component though. We could pass in what the filter is going to be maybe as a property. That might be good too. Or we could just create everything inside of here. Let's build this as a table because we know where this is coming. And for right now, we can build this in home until it makes sense in Yew where exactly we need to place this. The other thing that I'm interested in is about let's see. I don't want to get too far advanced with Yew on this project. So let's see how different types of properties that we can pass in. Do you have fragments lists? Okay, so like the lists are going to be like what we're going to be using here is we're going to have we're definitely going to have a vector of like these things. I'm wondering, they don't show it here, so I'm not gonna, okay, I'm not gonna end up doing that. My initial thought of something to do would be the equivalent of like a slot in some of the other front-end frameworks, but I think that's going to be more advanced usage of Yew. So I'm going to leave that as an exercise for you all, and we're going to do that in potentially a different course. Until then, we're gonna figure out what we can do by just making a table. So I'm going back and forth. Let's see. Well, what's the different pieces of this table that we're going to want? Like the first one that we're caring about is this task, right? So I want a table that's going to have these three things, but specifically we're starting with task. So a single column and probably 2 rows. So a dynamic number of rows. And the rows is going to have this link in it. We already have a link here. And yeah, so okay, I should be able to make I'm not going to call it a data table. We're just going to call it a list. So back to Yew. Let's close Yew. Let's actually commit this code too. We are getting API URI from a file. So not an atom. We already have a link. I want to put like a table of. That's probably not a molecule. I'm probably going to do this as an organism. A template would be next, but I don't know if this is right for a template because it would need like the slot type of stuff to work out for that. So we're going to add in a new file here, and I'm going to put in, what is it going to be? This is going to be our to-do, our tasks. It's like, it's basically a task table. Actually, I'm going to rename it. I'm going to remove the table part because I don't want the name to be tied to how it does this thing. That way, in case we change that ever in the future. Okay, so we have our tasks here. We're gonna use stylus 2. And we're gonna call this task. Let's see, are we going to take in any properties for this one? We probably are going to, because looking at how this is going to work, we're going to be taking in the filter and the sort by, and I think these are going to be their own components on their own that just sort of like pass in what they are. So let's set up some properties here too. Oh, yeah, it gets a little bit confused if I don't have like a struct already created under here. Okay, so we've got that. This is fine. Okay, we have our tasks. Take in a props. And return some HTML. Specifically, we're going to want this to be a table to begin with, and we're going to want this to be a link to, which does mean we need a single task page. So let's start by creating this. We'll create I don't know if I'll do a link to, we'll do some text and then replace that with a link to. We also need to have our list of tasks as well. That'll be another API call that we need to get. Yep. Okay, so let's do this. And our HTML, we want a table tag. We're going to want this priority completed in task. The only part that's really happening right now is going to be the task, but we could add this in for right now. So what is it? It's going to be like a table header. It's been a while since I created the this example, so I always forget how to use tables because we use them so little these days. I think it's like th, and then we're going to use td. TD for the actual value, and so we're going to have, what is it? Priority completed and then task. So priority completed. And then task. Okay. You're very upset about this. So this is, oh, we need to put this inside of an HTML macro. Yeah, that would help. All right. Okay, let's see how this ends up rendering. Well, we also need to go to our home page and bring this in. This is going to be use, create components, organisms, tasks. Okay, so it's just unused value for the property. If we come back to here, all right, so we have our priority completed task. That's looking pretty good. We want to center this and give each one a little bit of room. So let's see, what do I want to do for that? We're going to have some styling in here. We're probably going to do the styling inside of here to center it, which means I think I'm going to want you as divs. Actually, I want you as sections. Because this is a page. And then we're going to pull in, you should be a styled component. Okay, what do I want to do for this specific style? Let's add this into here too. I'm thinking right off the bat, we're going to have it as a display flex. That makes everything next to each other, which is not necessarily what we wanted, but I then want you to be centered in the middle. Now, for each level 1 down, I want you to be in a row. So that's going to be... That's going to be in a flex display, no, flex direction row. Wait, no, column. There we go. Okay, so now that's in the column. Then I want this to be in the center more. So I think we can do this with not the align items, but that flex, no, justify content, and we'll do space around. Let's see how that works. Not at all. Let's go ahead and use the inspector to figure this out. So here's this section. We have this space around. I may also have to give it a width. It's like, okay, this knows that that's about, okay, that's 100% of the width. That's right. That's 100% of the width. The table knows that it is. That's good. Do I have to come in here and specifically tell you how much space to take up? So like if I'm width and I want you to be like 75 view width. No, you don't care about that. Okay. There's also the other one, which is the align. We have align content, align items. Some of them are for grid, and some of them are for flex. And I always forget exactly which ones are which. So we have you. I want you to now be in the center. Now the way we do this up here in the nav bar is we have display flex, justify content on this section here. Then we have our things that we want to be spaced around, and they're just the immediate children. So that would be like, and they don't have any widths, do they? No, they sort of, they do their own thing. You have full widths. which, okay, this needs to be like a text align, I believe. So if I do text align center, that brings you to the center, and that's fine. For this table, however, whether or not I give you a 75 width doesn't really matter. Your display is going to be type table, which is going to be a little bit more interesting. I want some space between you. So that's going to be... do I have to actually now tell you display table? I wonder if like it like lost that. It's not telling me that it's auto. We do width, and then okay, we have a text align. How about content? It doesn't need that. That would be, how about justify? This is my method of figuring these out every time. There's the other ones. Okay, there we go. It's liking this a little bit more. Just a little bit more. As in things are happening. So align items, if I want this to be center, so this is interesting. If I want you to be center, that is centering it. And then you'll notice that the all these headers are on the left side of their thing. So that's fine. So I'm gonna want on you, I don't even need the text align. I just need align items center on here. Then we need to come to our table. Okay, so you're nice here. Then how do I want to do the width for each of these? We have like the table row. Now, if I do a display flex, that will sort of like potentially screw up the table sort of view. We could also do a width for each of the columns. So we have table head. I wonder if I would just put in a width here. So width of like, I don't know, 250 pixels. Okay, so it's centered inside of that one. So if we say I want you to be, I don't know, let's do like 250, like 500. I need to actually give it a real. That's looking a lot closer to correct here. Could possibly have them a lot smaller, but we're going to put a width on the TDs. Now, if I added in more, so we're gonna figure out what that looks like. So I'm going to hold off on putting the widths in there until we know sort of like what our data looks like. So we have that data. We need to go get it. So when does that happen? When the application loads, we can, or as soon as we log in, we're going to go back to home. So as soon as home loads, we could potentially tell Yew.rs to go ahead and load all of the, like get all the tasks, which is going to be another request. So we can create that first. That's going to be in our API. Okay, so if we have pub async, right now I'm doing them all together in one file until sort of like it makes sense to pull them off, which might be very soon. Okay, so async functions. This is gonna be get tasks. I think the only thing we're gonna need is the token. Let's pass in a reference to it. And I think that's gonna be it. We're gonna return something though, aren't we? We're going to have this data. Now, this will be interesting to determine whether or not we're going to want to use generics or something like that to wrap everything around this data, or if we're just going to allow it to be something else. Let's actually take a look at Thunder Client, see how this works. So get all tasks for our user. We have to pass in this token. Let me go ahead and do a login first. We don't need this body. It's not going to be used at all because this is a GET request. So when I send you, we're going to have this data, and then we're going to have an array of objects, which is going to have all this stuff completed at, description, ID, priority, and title. Okay. So we are going to have a data. So this is going to be essentially like a task response. For right now, I'm going to be okay with duplicating this. In fact, I can just copy you completely, make you a task response. And then after we get everything working, we can refactor this and take a look. Let's see about making this a little bit better. Then take this exact same thing, and these are going to be a task. So we're going to have, okay, a task. And actually this is going to be a slight bit different, isn't it? Because our task response is now going to be a vector of task, as opposed to just a single T. And then you are going to be all the individual things. So in this case, we're going to have you here. So I'm going to copy you. Okay, so to begin with, let's take all of these quotes, delete you, and make you all public. Oh, I was hoping that, okay, let's do that. Let's do these colons and do this way. Okay, there we go. We're gonna public. Okay, so we have our completed at description, ID, and priority. That's gonna be fine. And now each of these are gonna be its own thing. So completed at, I believe, is gonna be a date string. So probably some kind of string is all we're going to care about right now. So this is going to be an option because it can be null. And I'm going to throw a string in there. Maybe sometime we can make that into some kind of date object. But I'm not worried about it too much. Description is going to be a string. An ID is going to be a U32. Priority. Well, actually, the other thing is, a description can be optional technically. So we're going to make this an option string. ID has to be there. Priority cannot be there. So you're an option string. And title has to be there. So that is a string. Okay, so we are going to return a task response. Okay, so we're going to use the request. We're going to do a get. For this URL, it's going to be this format. Then I think we just want tasks. That's going to be it. Pass it in that base URL. I don't think I need to set, oh no, I do need to set a header. So we need to set the header with the key, and the key is going to be this XAuth token. And the value is going to be that token. Do you have to be a string, or are you okay? Oh, I forgot to invoke the macro. Okay, so far so good. Let's continue on. So we have our headers. Let's go ahead. We're going to do a send. Now we can wait. We'll unwrap this. We're going to convert this to JSON, and we're going to tell it that this is going to be a task response. We'll await that again. Unwrap this again, and we're good. This should now request out, get the task, provided a good token, and then respond with it. So when do I want to use this? I'm thinking when one of the components is loaded the first time, or maybe every time it's, yeah, it's probably like the first time it's loaded, because like nobody else is creating these tasks. The use case for this to do is not that one person can be on two different computers and we're seeing the updates happen. The expectation is that you're on one system. So I think when we get to home, as soon as this loads, we should just immediately at this point load up the task. So we can use a use effect for an initial load. Let's see, if we're going to use a use effect, we also are going to need, let's see, we're going to have our callback. Okay. So that's this here. Also, use effect takes in a callback to use as part of the destructor, I believe. I don't necessarily have anything to go here, but we'll just leave that. Looks a little bit weird, but technically it works. It's going to look a lot better as soon as we add new things into it. We're going to need to use useStore to get the uduck stuff. Okay, so useStore. This is going to be a persistent store. Okay, so we have our store. We're going to need that inside of use effect, aren't we? So we're going to need to move that in. So we're going to want to make the API call, get the information. So that means we're going to need an async block in here too, which means we're going to want to get the dispatch. So let's go ahead and I didn't accidentally bring in store, did I? No, I didn't. Store dispatch. Because I don't want to move store in. I want to move dispatch in. Is that not, did I accidentally bring in the wrong store? I don't see another store being used. Okay, there you go. I was getting slightly confused by the little yellow squiggly saying I wasn't using it. Okay, so in here, let's see what I want to do. I want to now say, we're going to do dispatch, grab the information. Oh, not down arrow. We need to use, we need this store to the state to get the token. That's another thing. We need the state to get the token. And I wonder if I can get that just out here. So if I can just say token equals store state. Can I clone you? I can. Okay. So we could have it just grab the token out inside of the use effect. So this would be the state. So then in here, I want to grab the token. So state dot, we're going to map. We're going to have the store. I want to do store dot the token. We're going to clone it. And then we're going to do an unwrap or default. That should give us a string here. Okay, that's great. If the token exists, so it's going to be an empty string if it doesn't exist. So if token is empty, then we're done, right? We're just going to return early. Use this as a guard clause. Now, if we get past this and the token has something inside of it, then I'm going to want to use dispatch. We're going to load up and hit the API, which means we're going to use that async block. So what is that? That was wasm bind gen futures, spawn local, we'll have an async, we'll have a move, and that's when we're going to bring in get tests. We're going to we're going to give them the token. This just needs to be a reference to the token here. We're going to await this, and we should be good. At this point, we now have a task response. What are you upset about? We have you open. We have open here. This is closing that one. You're closing this one. That's a little bit odd. Mismatch types, expected. It was happy before. So use effect is expecting a callback to be returned from it. And we can see that right here, essentially. Something to clean up after we're done. I don't have anything to clean up right now. Okay, wrap the thing in a closure with an argument. Okay, so it wants me to do something like that. Return type inferred there. Inferred to be open close there, and expected type open and close. That's exactly what I want it to be. I'm not semicolon that by accident. Oh, you know what? Return this. I need to return. No, let's see. I need to basically do nothing the rest of here. So I wonder if I want to actually return this here too. Mismatch type, return type to be inferred. Let's see, on line 27. Yeah, so it's setting what the return type is here. And I'm trying to make it be the same thing here, but it's not liking that. Okay, I'll get back to this in a little second. Now, if I don't do a return, if we instead do like, if not, and then wrap everything inside of here. So if you're not empty, that means we are logged in. We don't return early. We don't use this as a guard clause. We go a little bit to the right. Then you're a little bit happier. Okay. Now store.state. Okay, so store does not live long enough. So store. Right. Okay, I want this to be state. Oh, wait, no. This is going to be this store. Never mind. This is the store here. Why are you not living long enough? Borrowed value does not live long enough. Store dropped here while still borrowed on line 40. Okay, so store is still borrowed and it gets dropped here, and I don't want to continue borrowing it. I think it's fine. We could get the token out up here. Maybe that would be better. So if I did that, we'll just do a store dot state. We'll do the entire map fun, get that out as the token, and then move that in here. Okay. So far it's not yelling at us. Let's see. So I want to grab these tasks. That task equals this. Okay. Then what would be next? Now that I have the task, I kind of want to just log these out. Do I have glue log? Maybe I do. I want to log the tasks, which means I need to do a JSON, start a JSON to string. Let's do toString pretty. And pass in a reference to the tasks. Okay, never mind. Cannot find you there. It is import you from glue console log. There we go. toString pretty takes in, returns a result, so we have to unwrap that. No errors. Let's see if we're getting all the tasks. And we are not. Okay, so it's an error getting localhost 3000 API v1 tasks. Okay. Panicked on calling result on an error value. So let's see what happened. We got a 401 on the task. Unauthorized. Okay, so what was the token that we sent in? We can actually see that as part of the request that we made. So want the response. Okay, request headers. The XAuth token, I see this token here. I'm curious as to whether or not this token is still good. I'm thinking that maybe it's not because we re-logged in at the same user. So I think that's a problem. I'm going to go to local storage, delete all of you, re-log in. There we go. That works. Okay, so we had a bad token. We're going to need to make sure that we handle that. But here we go. We see the one task that we got. So that's good. We now need to stuff this into the Yew.rs store, which means we need a reducer for this. So we have this login reducer. We also have to add in, okay, so we're gonna have to have another struct here. So pub struct, this is gonna be a task, so we can then have a vector of these tasks. We're gonna have to do all of these things for it too. And in our API, right now, as far as we're concerned, it's going to be the same things. So I'm actually just going to copy these for right now. I don't know if they're going to remain the same or if we're not going to care about putting everything in here. And then in the store, we're going to have a pub tasks. It's going to be a vec of task. By default, vectors are just 0 length, so it's just an empty vector. Function, and this is gonna be, I guess, like set task, because this is like resetting, getting all of the tasks. So set tasks. We're gonna get the response. This is gonna be the task response. and a dispatch. Okay, so this should be fairly simple. We are going to have, we're just going to throw in into store.tasks, and we're going to set you equal to the task response dot data dot, actually probably just data at that point in time, because that's going to be a vector of the task. Okay, so the mismatch types expected, right, because they're technically different structs, even though they're exactly, even though like the content and the shape is the same. So at that point, I think I kind of like the idea of saying, you know what, these tasks are going to be the same. Now, who should own this? I'm thinking the store should own this. And we should say, you're going to be a different type of task here. You're going to be import store task for that. And then you are happy now. Okay, so back to home. We want to now use this dispatch inside of here with these tasks. So we want to set tasks. We have our tasks for the response, and then we have this dispatch. Okay, that's great. Now you're probably going to be upset because this is mismatched. Oh, mismatched types. Okay. Expected struct, dispatch, store, found, impl, deref, target. But with this thing inside, can I deref you? I know we just did this in the last one. We can go and take a look at it too. We can deref, or we can clone you. I can't clone you. I get the dispatch from here. Oh, I think I need to clone inside of here. Let's see. Okay, so this store isn't living long enough. This is outside of the use effect. I want you to survive the entire thing. But it's ending out here, and it thinks that these things can still be alive, which I suppose is technically still true. Let's see. I'm not doing it inside the use effect by accident. We have our persistent store here. Now, I wonder if I can just move the store in. Like, I get the token out. Can I just move the store inside? Then we'll just get the token there. We move the store in here. That's all I really care about. And you're going to be a store.dispatch. Okay, we have our dispatch here. You're this impl. Did I? Is it wrong one? Store. You're actually showing that you are that thing itself and not an impl. I'm kind of thinking about trying to do it as the impl. Now, okay, what options do I have? Can I deref clone you? Store does not live long enough. Okay, so store is inside of this closure. Then we move you inside of here. We don't move you inside of here. This is just an if block. So then arguments required. Store dropped on 39 right here, while still borrowed. So the fun parts about Rust. Let's see. Do our dispatch with this impl deref. I could try cloning here to move out of the store. I don't think I can. I think there's a point to like try to clone out of the store. I don't think it implements clone anyways, so I can't do that. If I try to do the entire thing here, I think we're going to still run into the same problem. So imagine if I did a store.dispatch, then we do a reduce. And then threw you inside of here. And then in the reduce, we're just setting tasks, not using set tasks. We're doing state dot tasks equals. Oh, nope, didn't want to delete all of that stuff. Just this one. State dot tasks equals task dot data. Yeah, okay, so it can't infer the lifetime going on here. So we have the future. We have an async move, so it's trying to move this in. I'm getting the fun squiggly lines. Okay, so here's cannot infer lifetime due to conflicting requirements. Oh, do I need to, because it's moving now. Let's see, state, doing the dispatch here. So that stays out. Going to reduce, grab this state, which I'm not using that name. Then, okay, so we get the task from here. Now we have this token. I am not, okay, so what is the thing that I'm worried about? It's the store, possibly because it's a reference to this token. I wonder if I try to like clone the token, for example. Actually, what is this token? This token is unknown right now. You should be a string. Okay, so if you're a string, then I should be able to reference you in. Can I infer lifetime, expected a string. and then an entire store. Wait, where did you expect that? Expected string store, found string store. Okay. I mean, you're expecting and finding the exact same thing, but the lifetime must be valid for the static lifetime. Lifetime cannot live the anonymous lifetime on line 31. So there is a lifetime created here for probably this state, possibly for the store. Well, the lifetime is going to be created when it's created. And so this is that same one, this down here. Oh, don't want to do that. Let's see. Then task equals. Okay, we await, get task. Now we could try using the request in here to make sure it's not something silly like passing the token in. So let's just try that. So if I just do a request, get, we're just gonna hard code this in right now. I just want you to be this thing. Okay, so we do our get with this, we do a header, we're gonna pass it in this token. Expected a stir, found a string. Okay, so I want you to be that. JSON is gonna be this task response, which we can import you. Then on you, it's want you to be a let. This is gonna be, I guess this is gonna be a task. Task equals you. Okay. So far it likes this. Then I want to dispatch, so I want to set the tasks. We're going to pass it in the tasks, and then the dispatch. So actually we don't need to do that. We're already doing that inside of here. So now we're going to do state tasks equals task.data. Aha, okay, so it's as soon as we try to use this state, that's our problem. And that's because you're inside of here, we're moving you out into here. So I think that's our issue. So I wonder if we need to do the dispatch inside of here. Oh, but we're now in a different block. That's not async. Okay, so I was able to get this working earlier, and I have my code example somewhere else. I am running out of time this morning, so what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little bit of break. I have to go to work. I'm doing these in the mornings before I head off to work. So I have to go to work. I have to be at work early today too. I will also look up my documentation, sort of like remember how I did it last time, and then we'll continue on from there in the next video. So anyways, with that, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.